Firm's best sale of the year. Let their sleep experts match you with the perfect bed and get the rest you deserve. They make sleep easy. Shop Mattress Firm's best sale of the year.
Swapping out your tires? There's nothing like it. With eBay, you find the feel you're looking for, from smooth highway rides to grip for rough terrain. Get all the tires you need at the prices you'll love. eBay. Things people love.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Number 1 on your car radio preset and the new and improved iHeartRadio app. WDAS and WD273D Philadelphia is Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler.
Two-two pitch from Jordan Romano. High and deep to left. It is to the wall. It is gone. That is a grand slam for Miguel Andujar. That's why he wasn't throwing him the heater, because he knew he was going to hit a bomb. It is 8-0 Reds. Oh, my. Somebody shake me.
Wow. I love when we play these calls, and I have no idea who these people are from the play-by-play, from whatever team it is out there. Sometimes they're former players. Sometimes they're guys that have been doing it for 30-plus years. Sometimes they're new. But bottom line is, yeah, at the end of that game last night, that is not how we drew it up here for the Phillies. Good afternoon, everybody. It's the Daily Ticket. I'm Sean Brace, riding solo for now. Jam-packed show. 3:30, Julain Edlow from DraftKings Sportsbook. We're going to talk some NFL futures, preseason wagering. Does he expect to see a lot of points scored again this weekend? A lot of overs hit, I think 12-2 or 14-2, I think, to the over last week. A lot of dogs were biting in a big way. And we're going to hit on all that with Julain Edlow coming up at 3:30. 4:10, we'll talk some more Phillies and get in depth with what's happening right now with the bats. Is it just more of like, hey, going through a tough stretch here with Kyle Fisher? He's going to join us at 4:10. So jam-packed show, a lot to get to. It's good to be back in studio. Yesterday, I had myself a nice little field trip. I'll talk a little bit more about that. Bayonne Golf Club. Oh, yeah. All right, but of course, the Phillies. Yeah, 8-0. Not exactly what we want to see. And then the day before, losing 6-1. So I know all you people out there that have been waiting to hop on the sky is falling train, well, you got yourself 2 games to go off of. But there are some issues with the bat, and specifically a guy like Nick Castellanos comes to mind. And I want to give a shout out to Luke Arcani because it's the truth. It's the facts of the matter. And I don't know if Casty is going to be able to turn it around come playoff time. I don't know if, we need to be depending on Castellanos in that manner. Should Castellanos get more time on the bench? Well, I can tell you what, if he doesn't hit, that's probably where he's going to end up. 195 average with a 215 on-base percentage over his last 30 games with 3 walks and 31 strikeouts. That is not good. That's easy to say for all of us to understand.
My Lord.
Yeah. 195 average, 215 OBP, last 30 games with 3 walks, 31 strikeouts. So Casty, in my opinion, look, and I like him. I do. I like Castellanos. I like what he brings to the club. When you're talking about 162, it takes forever to get there. You need guys like Castellanos in your clubhouse. But he's also playing a premium position where you need power. And he has not given that at all this year. There have been times that he has been consistent. There have been a few times that he's probably the more consistent hitter for the Phillies this season, if I'm not mistaken. At least 2 times, I probably would say, throughout the course of this season. That Castellanos, I think we have looked up at the box score or, the last 7 games, whatever it may be, and said, yeah, he's getting on. He's coming through in the clutch. He's getting base hits. but he's not delivering those power numbers. And I know it's easier said than done, but he was brought in here with the expectation that he would at least deliver on some of those numbers that he was able to get in Cincinnati, and he hasn't. So when I look at a guy like Nick Castellanos right now, and I think, it's fair to single him out due to the fact of what he is doing right now as we speak. But, I just don't I like Castellanos, but I don't think he's lived up to the contract. I don't think he's been the player we expected. You need more. You got to have more. And I don't really believe that Nick Castellanos is taking the heat that he should be taking. If Bryce Harper was out there struggling, and again, I understand what the contracts are, a whole lot different between the two. Bryce Harper is going to lead in headlines. Nick Castellanos is flying under the radar. I mean, this has been going on for 30 games. This season alone, right now as we speak, he's got 15 home runs. We got probably, 45 games left in the regular season? All of it goes out the window come playoff time. But Nick Castellanos hasn't done much in the playoffs either. So I'm wondering the expectations for him moving forward, A, and B, is there anything else that you can do to maybe motivate him or switch up, get somebody else in there, some PT, and give them a shot? Because right now, Castellanos is a big-time spot, as I said, out in the outfield, right field. He's okay out there. I mean, I wouldn't even say he's a good right fielder. I don't think he makes many mistakes, but again, he doesn't really get to the ball. But you got Bader out there patrolling. You got Marsh out there patrolling center field. Those guys track everything down. Rojas as well when he was out there as well. But I just look at Nick Castellanos, and as much as I want to sit here and say he brings good to the clubhouse, and he is that dude where you want to pull for the guy, right? He hasn't delivered for the Phillies since he's been brought in. One man's opinion, as always, love to get you involved with that conversation at Fox PHL Gambler, at Fox PHL Gambler. For my money, as far as where we're at right now at the Phillies, not losing sleep over it, not panicking. Of course, Ranger Suarez was that game where it's like, okay, what's going on with Ranger? I think there needs to be a conversation about that, but we still don't know what the final picture looks like. Got to bring up Nola, and Ranger did not look good 2 nights ago. But when you look at what's going on with this lineup, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. That's the first thing that I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking about pitching. I know Sanchez did get lumped up yesterday, but ultimately I have all the confidence in the world for Zach Wheeler and Christopher Sanchez going 1-2, because I've been consistent all season long here on these airwaves. I would just say that if we're talking about winning a World Series, and we're going to get into the bigger picture here when we're talking about the World Series picture, because it is cloudy, very cloudy right now. When it comes to playoff time, got to hit the bombs, got to hit the home runs, got to have the power numbers. And if I can't count on Castellanos, Trey Turner's not delivering in that category anymore. Who are we talking about here? Bryce and Kyle Schwarber. And that's it. That's it. And that's troublesome, because I don't know how these pitchers are going to continue to throw to Schwarber, especially if he continues to lay the lumber and all the way up into postseason. And Harper's Harper. He's always dangerous. Never really want to pitch to him. I get it. They will have to throw to him eventually. But all in all, Castellanos need more from him, and I just don't see that changing. So it's an interesting situation right now for Rob Thompson and, of course, the Phillies, and how they're going to handle this. What are they going to do? And is there anything else that they can do? There has to be something. Like, you can't sit on your hands when he's struggling that bad for the past 30 games. Kyle Fisher will give us his thoughts on that one, and whether or not there is something else out there that they can do. Minor leagues, call somebody up, make a switch. I don't know, as far as, when everybody comes back healthy, what's the postseason going to look like? We'll break that all down with Kyle Fisher coming up at 4:10. Dive deeper into all things Phillies. Love to get you involved, though, at Fox PHL Gambler. What do you do with Nick Castellanos? What do you do with Nick Castellanos? My man Colby checking in. Big Handsome is live. People pay attention. Yo! He's also got Kyle Schwarber nuke tonight. Yeah, Schwarber, Ohtani went triple yesterday. Ohtani did not have a good day at the office, period. Only pitched 4 1/3, I want to say, for the Dodgers. Had a triple. But it is just amazing when you do look at the odds for National League MVP. And I know that there were some people out there, and Kyle Pagan from Crossing Brow is one of them, that he clipped this stat chart where it was Kyle versus Schwarber versus Ohtani. And he's like, man, this is neck and neck. And then it popped up. It's even more. That's incredible. Minus 20,000. That is insane right now. Schwarber plus 1,800. That is incredible. It wasn't even that. It doubled in the last 2 days in favor of Ohtani. It just renamed the award after him and stopped talking about Kyle Schwarber potentially winning the National League MVP. It's just not going to happen. All right. But he likes Schwarber to go yard tonight, so that is interesting. So we will fire up that game coming up here at 4:10. We'll talk more about everything from the Phillies' perspective again tonight, taking on the Washington Nationals. And they are still on the road as there are some concerts being held at Citizens Bank Park. My Chemical Romance coming to town tomorrow night. I was never a Chemical Romance type of guy. What's that song? When I hate. That's nails in a chalkboard, that song. Yeah, it was never My Chemical Romance. They're coming to town. Anyways, Phillies and Nationals. That is going off this evening. Jesus Luzardo on the bump for the Phils, minus 194. 6:45 first pitch. We'll talk more about the Nationals, talk more about the Phillies coming up, as I said, with Kyle Fisher. Now, also cousin Nikki checking in. Got a little tan there, Brace. You dang right, bro. Looking good, feel good, play good. Played no, I didn't play good actually at all. We won, but I didn't play good. But you're right. I appreciate the tan comment. Yeah. Stay tan, man. It's been a good summer. Been outside a lot. Of course, when you have 2 kids, that's what's going to happen. All right. So to the Major League Baseball playoff picture, because there is some trouble right now in LA. The Dodgers lost all 6 games versus the Angels this year, including last night. And the Angels are a good hitting squad. They're pesky. But I thought this was going to be the big, bad Dodgers. Now, I also want to throw out there the fact that the Dodgers did struggle at times last year. And then what happened when it came to postseason? They rolled right through it and won the World Series. I don't know if I'm getting that same vibe this year. And I know it's hard to do, and I think that that's probably the first thing that's jumping into my head, making me feel that way, is that, it's easy to bet on a team to not do it again. Like the Eagles, perfect example. It is just extremely difficult to win back-to-back championships, especially in the top dog of them all, Major League Baseball. And right now, the Dodgers are out of first place. The Dodgers are out of first place for the first time since April 27th. After last night's loss, the Dodgers have fallen out of first place in the National League West, and now it is being held by the San Diego Padres. And of course, we always look to the odds, and we go right to the futures market as far as DraftKings is concerned to see what they have here. And when you look at the divisions, still, the odds makers love the Dodgers, and they should, at minus 165 to win the division. But you get the Padres at this point in time at plus 125. Few games on the schedule, going head-to-head. Of course, closing up the season, it's going to be really difficult to win those games. A lot of juice in those ballparks between those two teams. Remember, look, there's already been I don't think there was punches thrown, but the benches were cleared. Definitely a few times, I remember, in the one series. And we were even asking whether or not the Padres versus the Dodgers could be considered one of the better rivalries in sports or in Major League Baseball, period. So that's going to be a lot of fun to see how that one's going to play out. Again, everybody expected the Dodgers to absolutely roll this year. And here they are, struggling, 68-53 on the season. Padres 69-52. So I have to ask you, we're going to do a little rapid fire here. Who you got coming out of the West? That's for starters. I don't know if I'm willing to put money on the San Diego Padres at this point in time. However, if you are at plus 125, some good money there. And you are currently in first place. Again, we'll see how that one plays out. Long way to go. But you do the math on the schedule and serious stand on that one. I would probably lean to the Dodgers. And for those that are out there, that's a low number. It's low to win the division. It's probably the lowest it's been. But still, the odds makers love the Dodgers to get the job done. And all you got to do is look at the overall favorite. They're still top dogs, plus 400 to win the World Series. Oh, by the way, second on that list is the Philadelphia Phillies at plus 550, if you put stock into those numbers as I do. Now, also, as far as the futures market is concerned right now in Major League Baseball, how about those Milwaukee Brewers? All they do is win, 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 no matter what.
Myers out of the stretch, the pitch, and a swing and a miss. He struck him out. Would you like fries with that?
Hello.
12 in a row for the Crew. 12-5, your final. The Brewers with their second longest winning streak in the regular season in franchise history.
Man, those are some great calls. But did he vomit? Listen to this. There's no way he talks like this. Like when he calls his wife, hey, what do you think we're going to do for dinner tonight? Do you think he talks like that?
Myers out of the stretch, the pitch, and a swing and a miss. He struck him out.
Yeah.
Would you like fries with that?
Yeah.
12 in a row for the Crew. 12-5, your final.
Yeah.
The Brewers with their
12 divides the final. Love it. Anyways, yeah, Milwaukee Brewers Radio Network, as you just heard, 12 in a row. And I was looking today, just trying to come up with how the Brewers are doing it, man. But they're getting great hits, great pitching. This is a hot team. Now, if the playoffs started today, where are you at on the Brew Crew? Because I'd be pretty damn high. They are rolling red hot. I think you'd be a fool not to believe that they could continue this way if the playoffs started today, but lucky for the Phillies, that is not the case. The Brewers currently to win the World Series right now, plus 800. I like to look at the leagues. Brew Crew right now to represent the National League in the Fall Classic at plus 380. Phillies at plus 320. Dodgers still leading the way at plus 230. Padres at 5-1. So there's two for you. Who you got coming out of the West, and how real are the Milwaukee Brewers in your mind? Because this team is about as hot as it gets. They're winning burgers for everybody. This local burger place, if you haven't seen that story already, sorry, not from Milwaukee. I've never been. Love to go. Love to get out there to check out a Brew Crew game, as stadiums, Major League Baseball stadiums are just the best, especially when you go for the first time. So with the Brewers now winning 12 straight, if they get one more, I believe it's one. No. They got it. That's right. They were unable to get it last time, but this time it happened. And now this restaurant is making burgers, giving away a free burger. And I think last time that they did this a few years ago, if I'm not mistaken, probably butchering this story, I think 180,000 burgers were given away. So that's pretty cool. I would assume that they're probably going to do a little bit more, but nice work by the Brew Crew for winning. And of course, hooking up the folks of Milwaukee with a free burger. Now, as I said, when you look at the Milwaukee Brewers, are they slowly making you a believer? And again, Phillies fans, I get it. You want to say the Phillies all day. I'm with you. But for right now, the Brew Crew are playing great baseball, and they were good last year. Remember, they made the playoffs. They blew that game against the Mets, and if they did not, then they would have won that series, and the Mets would not have advanced. And who knows? Maybe the Phillies would have beaten the Milwaukee Brewers. But they got a good lineup, good pitching, good rotation, or a good bullpen, great closer. So a lot of good things are happening for the Milwaukee Brewers. But how real do you take them? That's the question. So, again, to open the show, it is about how cloudy the World Series picture is. It was supposed to be the Dodgers. According to the odds makers, it still is the Dodgers. I'm not buying the Dodgers simply because it is difficult to do it 2 times in a row. And I will bet against the Dodgers that there will be somebody else that gets the job done this year. Does that mean they get to the World Series and lose? Could be. Could potentially be. But I just don't think that they're going to win it all this year. And I hope they don't. I hope we get some new blood. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think the numbers were all that crazy last year for the Dodgers. I could be off on that. I know that everybody tunes in for Shohei. Don't get me wrong. But all in all, it was boring because, Dodgers were the favorite. And nobody wants to see that again this year. So the Brew Crew, are they real in your mind? Who you got coming out of the West? And now our third and final question is, will they make the playoffs? The yes or the no? And I am talking about those New York Mets. Step on up and meet the Mets. Wow. Things are just falling apart for the New York Mets right now. They are 2-12 in their last 14. They were up 6-0 last night. And the Atlanta Braves rolled off 11 unanswered, ended up winning 11-6. Juan Soto even hit a home run last night. It is falling apart in Queens faster than anything I expected. Now, at the beginning of the season, I did not believe in the Mets because of the pitching. But it seems to be a little bit of everything right now. And of course, with that polarizing fan base that they have, everything is just raised up a whole nother level with the magnifying glass, that these are even worse problems that they're having up there. And yeah, when you have a 6-0 lead against a division rival in the Atlanta Braves and you can't close the door and win that game at home, you got trouble. You got big trouble. So I ask you this question, our third and final Major League Baseball question to get the party started here. The New York Mets, to make the playoffs, I think they're a game up. I'll pull it up in a second. They're a game up right now for the third and final wild card spot. Will they make the playoffs? The yes on DraftKings at -280. The no +225. Where you at on that one? It is ugly for them boys out there in Queens. Not good. A lot of fun to be watching at this point in time. Of course, the Mets and Phillies, I think, have 2 more series left. One coming up here. So the Phillies need to start playing some better baseball, and they will. But that series against the New York Mets is August 25th. So they go right now, they got the Nationals for 3. Then Monday, they come home, and Seattle comes to town. Oh, by the way, a pretty good ball club there as well. Then they have the Nationals again for 3 more, and then the Mets on that following Monday, August 25th. They go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all 7-10 starts, and then the Atlanta Braves come to town for 4, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That is a 7 straight games. Hell, man, it goes even more. That is a tough stretch. Think you want to be a Major League Baseball player? Listen to this. Yeah, their next off day is September 2nd. Wow. Man, I walked 18 yesterday and my body's hurting me. Could you imagine playing 13 straight Major League Baseball games in a row? Let's see here. They have the Nationals. So they'll have an off day on the 21st, which is Thursday, 1 week from today. Then they go Friday, Saturday, Sunday against the Nationals, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday against the Mets, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday against the Braves, Monday, then they have an off day on that Tuesday, September 2nd. So that's Labor Day weekend, right? And that Tuesday, they have an off day on September 2nd. That is a tough stretch for the Phillies. So we're going to learn a lot about this team over these next few weeks. That's for sure. And of course, with playoff baseball right around the corner, that's obvious. All right. Again, 3 questions to get the party started. Where are you at as far as the West is concerned? Who's representing there? Milwaukee Brewers. They're real, but how real? Are you willing to take a flyer on them right now to win the World Series? The National League? Where are you at? I know they got the division. That's easy. That's done. I think they're 13 games up on the Cubs. And all they do is continue to win. And then finally, will the Mets make or miss the playoffs? The no, +225. Hey, now, that's got a nice ring to it if they don't make the playoffs. We'll talk more about that with Kyle Fisher coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, mix in more baseball with him. And, of course, can't wait to talk some preseason football, some rookies. We're going to talk some rookies with Kyle coming up at 4:10. On the other side, though, we will stay with preseason football. We'll find out what Julain Edlow learned from last week. Again, a lot of points scored. Is that something we can count on for week 2 that gets started? And I'm so disappointed, so mad and frustrated because I was going to the game on Saturday. And then all of a sudden news came down. And yeah, it's back to being just a bland preseason game against the Cleveland Browns. I'll tell you that news if you missed it. It's the Daily Ticket. Julain Edlow for DraftKings Sportsbook on the other side. Back after this.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
The biggest jams are in Jersey. AC Expressway eastbound, an hour delay from exit 38 to 33. A crash there is taking out the left lane. 42 southbound jamming from the Walt Whitman Bridge down to 295. And getting onto the Betsy Ross Bridge eastbound, we're seeing a jam. That because of a crash on the upside. One lane is blocked. Brendan Joseph, Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by the International Hot Rod Association.
The International Hot Rod Association and Durana Hybrid, where horsepower meets hard work. We're reigniting the spirit of racing and the power of skilled trades. Mentorship, education, legacy fuels the future on the track and in the trades. Get your tickets now at ihra.com.
Hey, it's Sean Brace. Make the most of your summer without stressing your budget. Use the Zip app. With Zip, you can make more happen this summer, from front row to baseball game to last-minute grocery runs for that barbecue. Zip lets you comfortably pay over time with a flexible payment schedule. You can use Zip online and in-store almost anywhere Visa is accepted. Learn more at zip.co. Loans through Zip pay anywhere, and Zip web checkout, including any powered by Zip loans, are originated by WebBank.
Trust and Will knows that we'll all eventually need a will. How about right now? Trust and Will makes creating your will easy, like while you're lounging on the couch easy. Trust and Will is designed by attorneys but customized by you, and all documents are state-specific and secure. Find your plan at trustandwill.com and use offer code RADIO now for 10% off. That's trustandwill.com, offer code RADIO. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. Visit trustandwill.com for details.
I have heart failure, and being out of breath all the time was just too much. I also have other symptoms like carpal tunnel syndrome and lower back pain, and I thought something's really off. That's why I talked to my cardiologist about ATTR-CM, or transthyretin cardiac amyloidosis.
ATTR-CM is a serious heart condition often accompanied by other non-heart-related symptoms. It's a condition that gets worse over time, so starting treatment early is important. Talk to your cardiologist today to see if you have ATTR-CM. Vindamax, tafamidis, is a prescription pill taken once a day to treat adults with ATTR-CM to reduce death and hospitalization for heart problems. Tell your doctor about all your medications, medical conditions, and if you have liver problems or breastfeeding, pregnant, or plan to be. There are no known side effects with Vindamax. For prescribing information, call 1-877-278-9632. Learn more at Vindamax.com.
Ask your doctor about ATTR-CM.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
This is Secret Clinical dominating extra stinky stress sweat. And this is regular deodorant. Secret Clinical in a heat wave. Oh, what a beautiful day. This is regular deodorant. Ugh, I can't. Secret Clinical with workout sweat. Let's run another marathon. And regular deodorant. How much more? Secret is the GOAT, because nothing fights sweat better. Stay fresher under pressure.
iHeart presents the Big Three Playoffs. This Sunday, the remaining 4 teams battle to make the championship in the most physical, fierce, and competitive basketball league in the world. The action starts with the Big Three Monster Energy Celebrity Game. Then Dwight Howard and his LA Riot take on Montrezl Harrell and Dr. J's Chicago Triplets. The finale will see popular Miami 305 with stars MVP Michael Beasley and Lance Stevenson take on Nancy Lieberman's Dallas Power. Who will make it to the Big Three Championship? The no-holds-barred action starts Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 Pacific, only on CBS.
Hey, man, you all right? Need me to call 911? No, call Top Dog Law. Get top dollar for your accident at topdoglaw.com. Once again, that's topdoglaw.com.
From Tuscaloosa to the Big House, Saturdays start here.
Howard flips it. Smith's got it, and the freshman just launches in as the Buckeyes score.
Your home for all things college football coverage. It's The Gambler.
Oh, yeah, those drums, they get the juices going, college football. Next week is a game week. Oh, we made it. I can't believe it. Last year I was beating down the door for college football and, of course, NFL, just football season in general. I don't know if I was doing that this summer, but, man, it got here fast. And I don't know if that means I'm just getting old or kids or, all the above. Probably all the above. But that's all right. Next week, Farmageddon, Kansas State and Iowa State. It's going to be a good game. That gets the party started. All things college football. We'll be all over it for you here on The Gambler. A lot to do over football season, and this gentleman will be joining us throughout the course of the season, representing the fine folks over at DraftKings Sportsbook, the one and only Mr. Julain Edlow. Julian, how we doing today, sir?
Doing well. Another week closer to football, right?
Amen. Amen, dude. I was talking to one of our hosts, Dick Girardi, the great Dick Girardi, host on Saturday morning, and he goes, we were talking about the show. He goes, what the hell are you talking about today? I go, yeah, dude. There's a lot. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot to get into, but life is easier. The food tastes better. The air is cleaner when football is being played.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. Let's dive into some of those football conversations, Julian. What do you say? It's preseason. I can't believe those numbers in week one. Now, where do we go with this? That's the question I have for you off the jump. Open-ended, you take it where you want. But 12-4 ATS, the dogs were barking in a big way. And then 14-2 to the over. Now, when I normally think of, and again, I don't bet preseason football. God bless the people that find the edges. I think you and I had a great conversation last week. As a matter of fact, people even hit me up socials. It is always about getting the better number. However, the steam didn't even work out last week. So you're going to talk about that. I'm sure you're going to hit on that. But it's crazy, man. With these, when I think of preseason football, Julian, I normally think of low scoring, boring games. But last week we had a lot of good quarterback play. And of course, points being scored 14-2 to the over. Which one do you think has a better chance of happening? The dogs continuing to bark or scoring still being up this weekend?
That's a good question. I'll say more likely is the scoring stays up. With the reasoning being that this middle game, the week 2 game, is when you're going to get more starters. But at the same time, to go against myself, that means more starters on defense, and defense is generally ahead of offense in August. So who knows? I think the bigger story from last week is that the steam just wasn't even getting there. And we talked last week about okay, if you've got Bengals plus 1.5 in pocket, I almost feel like you have to play some Eagles plus 6.5 because we don't know anything. And, obviously the Eagles run away with that game. I just can't. I understand the handicapping and I understand getting the best number. Like if you were going to tell me when that game kicked off, hey, do you want some Bengals plus 1.5? I'd say sure. But the handicap is okay. Burrow and Chase and the starters are going to play a quarter. And they did, and they played well, and they scored 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
But there's 3 other quarters of that game. And we don't know, it's very difficult to handicap those 3 quarters. And as it turns out, since that first string defense is so bad that Eagles backups are going to score on them anyway. And there was no, big lead to begin with for them. And then the Eagles backups and third stringers won that game. So I just think it's really difficult to handicap it. If you have the ability to do so, then that's great. It didn't work out last week. It probably will this week. There'll probably be more games that were like Patriots Commanders, for example, where the Patriots opened a short dog that seemed to a 6.5 point favorite and, returned to the opening kickoff and didn't look back and played more starters than Washington and got that early edge. And then the backups held on to that early edge. That's kind of your textbook preseason steam game that did go the way it was supposed to last week. So we'll probably get more of those this week just because it generally tends to even out. But it's a difficult and frustrating process, to do so. And for that to happen week 1, I think a lot of people were frustrated. They got good numbers.
Yeah, I'm frustrated the fact that Shador went out and did what he did. And then, oh, by the way, next up on the schedule, the Philadelphia Eagles. And oh, by the way, preseason tickets are pretty easy to come by. So I said, you know what? I'll go to the game. I'll see Shador Sanders, throw the clock up. And if he's playing against the cornerbacks that were playing for the Eagles last week, and he's probably going to have some success, and then he's out now with a bum hammy or a groin, whatever he did at practice. Just that's brutal luck, man. Julian, take me just real quick on Shador, because I'm not surprised, right? Like, were you surprised that Shador had success in a preseason football game? He was a good quarterback at Colorado. He put up fantastic numbers. He should never have been drafted where he was, and I still don't know why it did happen the way it did. But were you surprised by Shador, and do you think it was a little bit of, just one preseason game and everybody needs to calm down?
A little bit of both, but definitely not surprised. He's played at a high level and had success, and now he's playing against Carolina Panthers backups, and that means he's not going to find success. Again, of course, the Panthers are going to play their starters for a few drives. Let's steam them up to 6.5. Like, that's just the part that I have a problem with, is how far these games go for the full game, because we're going to get 2-3 drives of starters for a team like the Panthers who have a 6.5 win total. And again, I understand the Browns are bad, projected to be bad as well. But yeah, I was not surprised at all by Shador having some preseason success. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I had a Browns ticket in pocket, but it was an eye-opening week to say, okay, these games are going to open around a pick. They're going to move a touchdown. Why not take that touchdown?
Julain Edlow killing it on the timeline as he always does. Fantastic follow. If you don't already, what are you doing here? All one word, Julain Edlow. I missed the announcement, Julian. You're doing another podcast, a daily podcast for Draft. I don't mean another. I don't know if you do other podcasts. I don't know why I said that. But yeah, you're doing a daily podcast for DraftKings Network, man. That's pretty cool. So daily 15 to 20 minutes, be able to catch you Monday through Friday?
Yeah, once upon a time, there was unreasonable odds
once
a week, mostly during football season. That went away almost a couple of years ago. We brought it back down to the studs at DK Network. It was essentially a website. All the programming has been external. You see all the smoke and the Lebitard who are under the DraftKings Network umbrella, and I recommend you to watch. But I'm not bumping into Dan Lebitard and Matt Barnes in the office every day. Those are externally.
It'd be pretty cool if you did, though, man. Especially Barnes. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah.
We did. Well, he did come in the office one day. Barnes, Steven Jackson, and Shaq recorded a pod last year from the office. I attended.
Wow.
It was cool.
Yeah.
But those guys won't be on my podcast. So DraftKings Network. We're getting back to another internal show. We haven't had it for a while. Me, Emerson Lazio, Steve Buchanan. We had the Sweat a while back as well on weekend mornings. We're bringing back some internal programming. So yeah, it's going to be Monday through Friday. Record it kind of in the late morning. It's going to be quick, 15, 20 minutes. BKN daily bets. It'll be on DraftKings Network. It'll be everywhere that you listen to your podcast. It's out now. Spotify, Apple. I recorded just a 4-minute one to get in the bank, kind of introduce what it is. Gave out a college football future that I love on it, because the name of the podcast is DKN Daily Bets. So if there's a podcast, you're getting a bet. But yeah, it's gonna debut for real on Monday. There'll be 5 of them next week. I can give you a sneak peek and say next week we have confirmed Phil Steele, Doug Kazarian.
Oh yeah.
There's gonna be names. So please, I would encourage you to check that out. I have high hopes for it. It's gonna be really my baby. It's going to be my show. I've been on a lot of shows at DraftKings Network. I can't claim that I've had my show, and this is going to be that. So I'm going to do it the way that I want to do it. And hopefully that means it's going to be really good. Maybe it'll crash and burn. I hope not.
I don't think it's going to crash and burn. You're going to get a lot of great information, and the right information, especially during football season, as you could tell on his timeline. I'll tell you what,
put it this way. The last thing I'll say on it is you have a lot of really good sports betting shows that come out a little bit later in the day and are 2, 3, 4 hours, and they're awesome. But while you're waiting for those shows, this will be out late morning, early afternoon, and you can take it down at your lunch break, whenever, 15, 20 minutes. in and out, good guests, and good information. So
Hey.
I'm excited about it.
You know, we'll talk about this off the air, but if there's any way that I can run this, dude, you let me know. I'll pump this out daily over here on the Gambler too, just to let you know. But we'll talk about that, you know.
We can, we can discuss that.
I like that. That would be awesome, man. And again, I will definitely be press and play on that Monday through Friday. Julian, great stuff. Always great to get you on here on a Thursday, especially when football season is fast approaching. So, again, is there anything that you're taking from preseason game 1 or preseason game 2 and 3 and applying it towards futures? Is there something that caught your attention? Like we discussed, I'll tell you point blank. I looked at Joe Burrow's numbers immediately. I'm like, this guy is ready to go. He looked like he was in week 12, you know, just last week. And of course, I know going up against a secondary that it was suspect at best is going to help out those numbers. But man, it looked like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, they just never took a minute off in this offseason. So I was looking at his numbers and I actually pulled the trigger on touchdowns over for him for the season. And it comes down to health. But long-winded, is there anything for you that caught your attention or you're going to be looking forward to in week 2 and week 3, and maybe we'll take that information and apply it towards a future play?
Week 2 is probably the best representation of regular season football, right? Because week 3 is going to be the rest week and the backups who's going to make the team. Week 1 is the ramp up week. This is, I guess, the closest you're going to get to, okay, some guys are playing a quarter, a half, and let's see what they can do. So this will be the best week to watch and see if there's anything you can pull. Now, can you pull anything from a half of football that's going to spark a future for you? I don't know. But, I don't hate where you're at with Burrow and Chase should have another big season, and maybe because they went out there and did that this time around, it gets them started a little faster. I always find a way not to fade the Bengals in week 1, even though we know you're supposed to fade the Bengals in week 1. They never come out ready to go, and now here we are, and we should be fading the Bengals week 1, but they're playing a healthy Burrow and Chase in the preseason. They looked great. They play the Browns in week 1. It's like they should get going, right? So I'm with you. If you like Bengals stuff, I don't want to play their win total. I don't want to play them to win the division. I think they're a little overrated. Play Burrow and Chase overs. Play game total overs because they're going to score, and that defense looks terrible once again. Like, that was a takeaway. Close to home for me, but I mentioned Travion Henderson taking that opening kickoff to the house. He's getting rave reviews. He looks like he might be, I know New England has not been a place for running backs for a long time. He looks like he might be a good one and could like actually take over the job and take a lot of snaps over the rest of the guys. So I'm looking to see what he does in terms of first team snaps, because he could be a guy that the Patriots, whether they're good or bad, really rely on, and I think could be a good fantasy player or a prop bet in both situations, because if the Patriots are good, they'll be feeding them the ball a lot. If they're bad, he's been awesome on these wheel routes and screen passes and is a guy that they could get involved trailing. So that's the guy I'm looking at. And then, again, the Shedeur thing, like, the Browns could be bad enough where they have to see what they have in Gabriel and Sanders, and those could be guys that play. And if they do, I'm going to be betting on them to make mistakes in some form or fashion. I don't know if Joe Flacco can hold up for yet another season. So those are some minor takeaways. Hopefully we learn more this week.
Yeah, 33.5 is what I'm at with Joe Burrow. I just feel like, through 40 plus last year, he's hit that number a few times. And as far as his career is concerned, he does get dinged up. He does miss time. All quarterbacks, I think, if you let them get hit, they're going to miss time. But hopefully they can protect Joe Burrow a little bit better. And I think they did a pretty good job. I want to say that. And in that game against the Eagles, again, the Eagles didn't have Jalen Carter up front. They didn't really roll out their studs, but still, I'm sure there's a big emphasis on protecting Joe Burrow. So 33.5 is what I rolled with. And I said, you know what, that's a play that I can get behind and have some fun with it. But I'm not really tied up into too many futures at this point in time. And I'm probably missing some numbers or missing the mark on some good numbers, but it is what it is. With that being said, let's continue and talk a little bit about some of these players that you have breaking down on your timeline here. Alvin Kamara. You did a deep dive here. What are we talking about with the Saints? Because the expectations are very, very low. I don't know if they have a quarterback that's going to be able to complete 50% of the passes on that roster. I do like Kellen Moore. I want to see him have success down there. but I don't know what the heck they got working for them on offense. So what is your take on Alvin Kamara? Is it just, to the moon with him this year?
Well, I was looking at Alvin Kamara at 775.5 rushing yards, and I was like, I should bet under on that.
Ooh.
He could get dinged up. He's going into his 9th year. He's going to be playing in such a bad offense. How are they going to get that ground game going? And then I went to bet the under, and I'm like, I don't know if I can do it. Now, and the first thing I was looking at is, okay, he's set at 775, and he's never rushed for 1,000 yards in a season.
It's true.
Now, he's had plenty of 1,500 yard from scrimmage seasons because he basically produces the same on the ground and as a pass catcher, which is kind of wild, and why he's been, a fantasy stud over the years. But last year was his career high in rushing. It's the worst team he's ever been on. 5-12 disaster Saints team. He set a career high 950 rushing yards. The sharper side is the under here. 78% of the bets are on the over, but it only makes up 57% of the handle. But he's only failed to top 775 rushing yards once since his rookie season. And it was when he missed the most games of his career. He missed 4 games in 2023. He wound up about 80 or 90 yards short. So I was beginning to handicap what on the surface looked like an Alvin Kamara under to me, and I couldn't do it.
Interesting. Yeah, when you do look at his numbers, he does throw up crazy stats because he does catch the ball in the backfield. He's been a hell of a pick. I mean, that is just an unbelievable draft pick by the Saints and what he's been able to do in 9 years. That's crazy. He's already been in the league for 9 years. But as I opened up the segment with, I'm just getting older, and these days are flying by faster and faster, Julian. I'm sure you're in the same boat there. Yeah, exactly. All right. One more as far as, kind of like in the fantasy world, in the sports gambling world too, because I have his numbers up here in front of me. What are your thoughts on the Falcons, specifically with Michael Penix this year? And like, I was a Penix guy. I liked the draft pick, and I thought he looked good at times last year. I think he's going to sling it a lot. They have some good wide receivers. Of course, we know about Bijan coming out of the backfield. Could potentially Kyle Pitts have a significant role this year? I know we've been expecting it since his rookie season, hasn't delivered, but Michael Penix is a real damn deal in my money, for my money. So I'm wondering if there's anything out there that you would recommend as far as taking a shot or a flyer on Penix going over this year, whether it's touchdowns, yards, or anything along those lines. But what's your outlook for the Falcons and specifically for Penix this year?
Yeah, I've been a Penix fan. I was a big Washington backer his last year at Washington. I was at the last ever Pac-12 championship game in Vegas.
How about that?
When Washington, as a double-digit dog, at one point they were a double-digit dog, upset that Bo Nix Oregon team.
Did you take the seat out of the? Did you take the seat out of the stadium? Did you take it home with you? It's the last Pac-12 championship. I can't. No, stupid.
Well, it's a brand new stadium that the Raiders play in. So no, I did not rip out any seats and spend the night in the Vegas Slammer.
Yeah, that's good work by you. Good work by you.
No, yeah, I passed on that. But I would take. I think he has a really modest touchdown number. I would play over on that on Penix. I lean over the win total. I like teasing Atlanta from 1.5 to 7.5 in week 1 against the Bucs. The biggest takeaway that I have on the Falcons is that I'm all in on Drake London. He broke out last year, finally, former top 10 pick, and did it with like Kirk Cousins for most of the year. The 3 games that he played with Penix, when Penix started those final 3 games, London was averaging 13 targets a game, 117 yards per game, and he had 2 touchdowns in those 3 games. So I'm all in on Drake London getting the full season with Penix, who I believe in. I think they play like 11 or 12 of their games indoors this season, obviously with the home games. So Drake London for me, I got him at 1,050 yards and 7.5 touchdowns. I think he's up to 1,075, maybe even 1,100. But Drake London is my big Falcons takeaway. I'm going over yards, over touchdowns. And if you want to take some, let's say, bonus bets or profit boosts and go on London to lead the NFL in either receiving yards or receiving touchdowns, I may have a couple of those in pocket as well.
I like that. That's aggressive, but again, that tells me everything I need to know about how you feel when it comes to Penix Jr. And he's a stud. I know he didn't throw up crazy numbers last year in a limited role, but I just think that they're going to air it out, be aggressive. And you talked about London, no doubt, but Mooney had himself a hell of a season last year. He finished with 992 yards, 64 grabs, 5 touchdowns. I just think, and Bijan, I don't think we've seen the best of him yet either. I'm really excited about the Falcons this year, and I don't really remember all that much in previous seasons saying that out loud. So we'll see what happens there when it comes to
Penix. Exciting offense.
Yeah.
They have a lot of exciting players on offense.
19.5 is his modest touchdown number, too, as well.
Yeah, if he stays healthy, he's not going to throw 20 touchdown passes. That seems unlikely.
I think, we'll mark this tape, there is going to be a game this year he throws 4 touchdown passes in a game.
Yeah, that's not crazy at all.
Now, I did swing and miss last year on C.J. Stroud, so maybe I might be a little aggressive, but I'm a big Michael Penix Jr. guy. All right, over to college because we got to mix this in. We are a few days away from having our first actual game week. Yes, college football returning back to our lives next weekend. We've talked a lot about that since you've been on. But I want to hit on some of the bigger games, and I know you got some write-ups here over at DK Network, and I want to open up with Miami and Notre Dame. Great write-up here, Julian. What is your breakdown on this game? I see you like a play on the total, but when it comes to the spread, where are you at right now with the Catholics versus the Convicts?
Yeah, I'll probably eventually wind up side and total on this one. I played some, I did not know this move was coming. I really wish I wrote this up earlier, but I played some under 54.5. And over the weekend and early week, this got smashed under 50.5 now. Literally all of the money, 99% of the money right now on DraftKings is on the under in that game. So it got banged around pretty good. I would still lean under at 50.5. I'm hoping it comes back, creeps back up a little bit, and I'll officially put it out at a better number. But yeah, I think both defenses are going to be way ahead of the offenses. I'm not a Carson Beck fan overall, and it's his first game back from the UCL. I think Miami is down 5 of its 6 or 6 of its 7 top pass catchers from last season. So you got to work it in with all the new and their leading rusher. So they got to work it in with all these new skill position players and Beck coming back from injury. What Miami does have is they're good in the trenches, good offensive line, good defensive line. I think that kind of plays towards running the ball. I expect the defense to do pretty well. And it's the same on the other side. Notre Dame hasn't even named a starting quarterback. It's a quarterback competition there. Whoever it is going to not quite be Riley Leonard. And again, what they have is the running game. Notre Dame brings back both running backs and has a terrific offensive line. So I see both teams leaning on the run. I see both teams led by their defense. I see a game on August 31st in Miami where these guys could be absolutely gassed in the first game of the season, especially going against good competition. So I really like the under in the game, but I ultimately do believe Notre Dame's the better team. And getting them, minus 135, I think it is on the money line, is something I'm interested in. Yeah, it's in Miami. This is going to be like a 50-50 crowd, I would think. You're going to have Notre Dame fans traveling down there. Miami is essentially neutral in terms of what home field is worth to them to begin with. So if you get some Notre Dame fans down there, I'm not worried about the home game at all. Now, the weather is different, but that'll affect both teams, maybe Notre Dame a little bit more. But, yeah, I think Notre Dame, the strength is going to be that offensive line and the running backs. I think they're going to be able to run the ball very effectively, and I think they have the better defense, better than Miami. So I do lean that way with a road favorite.
Carson Beck, not worried about him at all in that Miami offense. I mean, like you just pointed out, he will be the better quarterback in that game, no matter who Notre Dame selects, right? So is there anything for you as far as Carson Beck in that offense that makes you believe that he might have it working in week 1, or no, you just think Notre Dame's going to be the better team?
It's a capable offense, passing offense for sure, but it's just there's a lot of turnover there, and it's his first game back from the injury, and I do trust Notre Dame's defense quite a bit, particularly in the secondary. So I got to see what Miami is. I'm not totally convinced that they're just far and away the second best team in the ACC.
Understood. All right. And you got a great breakdown as far as TCU and UNC, which is going to get a ton of eyes. It's a solo game on September 1st, Monday. So make sure you go ahead and check out what Julain has written up, and be sure to follow him on all things socials. But I want to end with the granddaddy of them all. And it's just an incredible way to start the season as far as Texas and Ohio State. And I see you got a nice article written on this game as well. So what are you reading? What do you believe in when it comes to this game? Who's got the advantage? Ohio State's at home. I don't think that this game is like do or die. We've seen that now. Like, teams have lost and they still, like Notre Dame, perfect example, lost last year, Northern Iowa early in the season, and they were able to go on that run. So if whoever loses this game, I don't think it's going to be the worst thing that could happen to them. But at the end of the day, Ohio State at home with potentially the best player in college football, I'm leaning towards the Buckeyes here. I just think this is a big ask for Arch Manning and Texas to go in there and win that game at noon on August the 30th. Where are you at in this one? What do you like in that game right now?
Yeah, too much too early for Texas here, I would say. And that doesn't mean Arch Manning isn't going to be really good. It doesn't mean he's not going to be in the Heisman conversation. But they returned very little on the offensive line. One starter. The starting offensive line has a total of 45 career starts for Texas. And now you got to go into the Horseshoe on the road week 1. And, you know, as good as Arch Manning may be and had good experience last year at times spelling Quinn Ewers, still your first start on the road at Ohio State. I think it's a difficult atmosphere. Texas loses a lot of its top pass catchers as well. I believe in the defense. Texas has a pretty good defense, and Ohio State's mixing in some new pieces on offense. Julian Sayin is making his first start as well, but it's going to be a little easier at home, I would imagine. So, yeah, I think that, Ohio State still has a huge advantage at receiver, I would say, in the game. And I expect them to just be more competent offensively, be able to hit bigger plays offensively. And unlike Miami, Notre Dame, home field, I think, matters a lot in this one. And getting this down from the 4.5 opener to a point where we can lay Ohio State minus 130, minus 125 money line, I will take that on the Buckeyes to win the game.
Just throw the ball to Jeremiah Smith, please.
That tends to work too.
Yeah, just throw it up. I mean, I have a Heisman play on him at 12-1, so that would be great. I would hope that Gus is on the call. I think he's on the call here. It's noon kickoff, so I just want to hear.
Fox, yeah.
Oh man, I can't wait. I was cutting up some sound, putting some stagers together for the station. I was using some Gus calls from last year. No, man, nothing better than Gus. We're getting the juices going right now, Julian. Football season is here. With that being said, did you add anything since the last time we spoke again a week ago? With college football starting next week, did you add anything, or are you just still locked into your previous plays?
Of course, I've added. I'm always adding.
Enlighten us, please.
See. I'm flipping through some stuff
specifically
here.
for week 0, if you wouldn't mind. Did you add anything there?
So I haven't added week 0.
Okay.
Week 0, I am Hawaii and Hawaii only.
Okay.
I've given that one out a couple times on here. I do have the article now up on DK Network. If you are somebody that prefers to sit down and actually read the analysis, it is up there in longer form for you. Let's see here. I'm going to talk about Buffalo. Because I know that we haven't talked about that.
No. What do you got for me on Buffalo?
I took some Buffalo plus 17 at Minnesota, and I took some Buffalo over 7.5 wins. I finally got to my Maction breakdown, and I think they should be in pretty good position. I think they should have a really good defense, and they should be able to run the ball. That kind of plays well toe-to-toe with Minnesota. So not that Minnesota shouldn't win the game, but that's a low total game, and you're getting, I think it's down to 16.5 now, but 16.5 with Buffalo at Minnesota. I'm good with that for week 1. I think they should be able to hang in that game And schedule-wise, they missed Toledo, who's the heavy favorite in the conference. Schedule sets up pretty well for them, so I did play the over 7.5 wins on Buffalo as well.
Ooh, and that gets the party started on Thursday night. Of course, the big weekend with everything happening from Thursday to Monday.
That's why I went there. It's
No,
like,
yeah.
you know we're going to have games to bet all weekend, but Thursday night, we need one there. Let's grab a ton of points with Buffalo. How about it?
I'm partial to that ECU-NC State game. Did you even look at that? Do you have a take on that?
I don't have a bet on that yet. I can't say that I've fully done everything I need to on that game.
Yeah,
but nothing on the surface.
It's just a big number, 11.5. That's a rivalry. There's a lot of bad blood between those two teams. I think it's going to be a good game. And anytime the Wolfpack have expectations, they never deliver. So that's a big number to be laying.
I'll tell you this in terms of I don't want to call them obscure games, but like smaller conference versus big conference. You can find the full analysis on Twitter. I have tweets on both of these games, but Toledo is insanely sharp against Kentucky, and Southern Mississippi is extremely sharp against Mississippi State, who Southern Mississippi is actually the home team there, and Mississippi State win total of 3.5 going on the road. It's a big number, but those two sides, Toledo and Southern Mississippi, numbers have come down like 4 points on each since open. But they've taken a ton of money.
11.5 point spread. That one is a noon kickoff as well. Love it. Julian.
ESPN game.
Oh, ESPN.
They're gonna be pumped for that.
Oh, man, let's go. Get the cowbells out, start ringing them, and let's go Southern Miss. Big dogs barking there, catching that 11.5 point spread there. Julian, great stuff, man. Can't thank you enough. Good luck with that podcast. Again, let's touch base. I'd love to air it. If we can make that happen, it's as simple as an email, and we can get that to our people here. But, man, I will definitely be press and play on that, and everybody else that's listening right now should be as well. Once again, you can find him, all things socials, Julain Edlow, and be sure to read all of his content and Sean Bernard's over at DKNetwork.com. You're the best, Julian. Good luck on those plays, and we'll catch up next week breaking down some actual games coming our way.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
My man, there he is. Appreciate it as always. Julain Edlow on the Gambler Hotline. Fantastic stuff. College football. It's getting here. It's getting closer. Break out the band. Break out the drums. Oh, can't wait. All right. We do have a baseball team that is in the running here for a pretty good postseason run in their own right. They are leaking a little bit over these last two games, leaking a little air. And I know people that are wanting to say that the sky is falling. They're going to jump on these two games, but you can't do that. Like you can't go on the run that the Phillies just had, taking 2 or 3 against some really good teams, home and away. And then all of a sudden, the first series that they lose in a little while, right? Been probably 3 series that they've won in a row, if I'm not mistaken. But again, it's been ugly, those 2 games. So put the series to the side. You're talking about scoring 1 run in 18 innings. And then you got to look at guys like Nick Castellanos, because look, when it came to the trade deadline, I think they did a lot in getting, of course, Duran in the bullpen, Bader, who's playing pretty good out there in the outfield as far as the defensively is concerned. You knew that this season rides on the shoulders of the guys that are here. Casty is one of those guys. And I just don't know if we can continue to bank on him or think that he's going to deliver. We just have to be honest with ourselves and look at the back of the baseball card. And for the last 30 games, Casty has stunk. I'll give you those numbers if you missed it. But Kyle Fisher is going to join us on the other side. And we're going to dig deeper into all things Phillies issues at this point in time. Again, not panicking. Sky is not falling. Sanchez would like to see him pitch a little bit better yesterday. But again, it's August the 13th. It is what it is. As long as Wheeler and Sanchez are healthy come October, I'm ready to go. You see that schedule came out. I love that. Saw people already putting the schedule for postseason action, matching what's taking place down at the formerly known as Wells Fargo Center. Good grief. We changed the name again. I realize that people want to say that there are some bigger issues with this team right now. Yes, that is true. Are they fixable? I believe they are. What do you do about Nick Castellanos? Is there anything you can do to get him going? We will discuss that. And, of course, the big picture questions that I opened up the show with. I'm going to throw to Kyle Fisher. Who's coming out of the National League West as the Dodgers are now in second place for the first time since April the 27th. They are now a game behind the San Diego Padres in the West. Who you got? Are the Brew Crew for real? If the playoffs started today, would you wager on them to win the World Series, to get to the World Series? Where are you at with this Milwaukee Brewers team that just won 12 in a row again? And finally, meet the Mets. They are struggling. They're the opposite of the Brew Crew. They're 2-12 in their last 14 on the no to make the playoffs, plus 225. Where's Kyle Fisher on that one? Are the Mets in jeopardy of making the playoffs this year? We'll talk about all of those topics and more with a hyper focus on all things Phillies and some Eagles as well with Kyle Fisher. He joins me on the other side. Daily Ticket, more after this.
From Tuscaloosa to the Big House, Saturdays start here.
Howard flips it. Smith's got it, and the freshman just waltzes in as the Buckeyes score.
Your home for all things college football coverage. It's The Gambler.
If you're 55 or older and into that whole saving money thing, T-Mobile has an exclusive phone and internet bundle just for you. Right now, get 2 unlimited phone lines plus 5G home internet for just $30 each per month with autopay, plus taxes and fees. And with 5G home internet, setup is easy with just one cord and no technician needed, which is great if you're also into that whole keeping it simple thing. Switch now and experience the best mobile network in the U.S. Visit your local store to start saving. T-Mobile, it's better over here. Based on analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence data Q4 2024 to Q1 2025. Ookla trademarks used under license. Unlimited on our network. Customers on voice plan may notice speeds lower than other customers and further reduction if using more than 50 gigs a month due to data prioritization. Video streams and SD on this plan. Home internet pricing after $20 and monthly bill credit plus $5 per line without autopay. Debit or bank account required. See 5G device coverage and access details at T-Mobile.com.
CEOs you should know, brought to you by Comcast Business.
David Goodstadt, founder and CEO of Ballers. Ballers is really born from my love of sport and our passion to bring people together around a shared love of sport. Ballers is a social sports venue. There's a club component to it, but anyone from the public can come and experience what we have to offer. We'll have pickleball courts, padel. There's a turf playing field, which will be primarily used for soccer, but can be used for any type of event on a field. We've got 2 squash courts. We'll have golf simulators as well as a short game practice area. And then we have an extensive gym, locker room, and recovery areas that will include things like infrared saunas, cold plunges. And then on the hospitality side, we've actually got 2 bars and a full restaurant. We're located in Fishtown in a building called The Battery. It's actually the historic power plant of Philadelphia, and it's truly iconic. What we believe we're creating is an ecosystem where whether you're a player, an observer, so you could be a parent watching a kid or a spouse supporting your partner, everyone is welcome and everyone can come together and find something they can connect with. And there is a multitude of sports that we offer. So it is a really amazing way to get people together. And obviously the side benefit, if you're actually playing the sport, it's healthy as well. We have a very active Instagram page, which is Ballers Social Sports, which is our handle. And then we've got a website, which is ballers-us.com.
Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Sound familiar? At Mattress Firm, we understand there are many problems like snoring, aches and pains, hot sleep, or even an old saggy mattress that can keep you up at night. And our sleep experts have the unrivaled know-how to match you with a mattress that can help. And now get a king bed for a queen price, plus a free adjustable base with select Sealy mattresses. For the great sleep you deserve, visit Mattress Firm. We make sleep easy. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
Swapping out your tires? There's nothing like it. With eBay, you find the feel you're looking for, from smooth highway rides to grip for rough terrain. Get all the tires you need at the prices you'll love. eBay, things people love.
This is Doug Gottlieb. Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network.
Presented by Mercedes-Benz.
Eagles wide receiver A.J. Brown remains sidelined with his hamstring injury. He didn't take part in the team's joint practices with the Browns. After dropping back-to-back games in Cincinnati, the Phillies will continue their road trip tonight. They're in Washington. Jesus Luzardo set to take the ball tonight for Philadelphia. And Milwaukee Brewers fans, they'll get free burgers from a local restaurant chain after their team won its 12th straight game yesterday. I'm Scott Davidson.
Looking for an exceptional driving experience? Find it behind the wheel of a Mercedes-Benz SUV. Experience the power, precision, and intelligence of an iconic Mercedes-Benz SUV at your local Mercedes-Benz dealer today.
We don't just watch college football, we live it.
How did he stay on balance there? Look at him go! Scataboo!
Join us for the stories, the scores, and the Saturday matching. It's The Gambler. Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
It's an hour-plus delay on the AC Expressway eastbound between Williamstown and Winslow Blue Anchor. A crash there is taking out the left lane. 30-minute delay popping up on 95 northbound Chichester Avenue up to 320. A crash there taking out at least one lane. Brendan Joseph, total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Audible. Audible's romance collection has something to satisfy every side of you. Fall for a brooding duke. Dive into a steamy romantasy series from Sarah J. Maas. Or find the perfect rom-com from Lily Chu. Start listening free when you sign up for a 30-day trial at audible.com.
Oh, no. Not again, Moose. That's my third premium ball in the water today.
So just grab another one, Harry.
Yeah, easy for you to say. These balls are expensive.
Not mine. I get all my balls from buymyballs.com. That's balls with a Z. Top quality, recycled premium brands for a fraction of the price.
Wait a second, Moose. So you're playing premium balls and not freaking out when you lose one?
Yeah, you got it. Hurry up. You're holding everybody up.
Ha. Yep. I'm ordering from buymyballs.com right now. Buy premium golf balls without the premium price. BuyMyBalls.com.
iHeart presents the Big Three Playoffs. This Sunday, the remaining 4 teams battle to make the championship in the most physical, fierce, and competitive basketball league in the world. The action starts with the Big Three Monster Energy Celebrity Game. Then Dwight Howard and his LA Riot take on Montrezl Harrell and Dr. J Chicago Triplets. The finale will see popular Miami 305 with stars MVP Michael Beasley and Lance Stevenson take on Nancy Lieberman's Dallas Power. Who will make it to the Big Three Championship? The no-holds-barred action starts Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 Pacific, only on CBS.
Do Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keep coming back? Tremfya, guselkumab, may help, with rapid remission achieved at 12 weeks and lasting clinical remission at 1 year. Some even saw visible improvement of their intestinal lining at 12 weeks and 1 year. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active Crohn's disease and adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Healing is possible with Tremfya. Approximately 3 out of 10 patients were in endoscopic remission at 1 year, based on areas visualized on colonoscopy, which may not represent the deeper bowel layer or entire GI tract. Individual results may vary. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
There's a lot of uncertainty in the world, but one thing's for sure. You need a PC you can rely on. Whether it's for school, gaming, or whatever your next chapter holds, Lenovo.com has the tech to help you succeed. Shop PCs right now at Lenovo.com during their back-to-school sale, where students can save more when they sign up for a Lenovo education account. Free shipping, easy returns, flexible financing. That's Lenovo.com.
Lenovo. Number 1 on your car radio preset and the new and improved iHeartRadio app. WDAS and WD273D Philadelphia is Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler.
May I have your attention, please?
You're listening to The Daily Ticket with Sean Brace, Philly's first daily sports gambling show.
Let us see the dough!
On Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. The action starts here.
Hey now, coming to you live. It's the Daily Ticket, Sean Brace. And joining the party, ladies and gentlemen. Great to have this guy on again. A lot to discuss in the world of sports, specifically here in our backyard. Kyle Fisher. Kyle, good afternoon. How are we doing today, sir?
Doing great, Sean. How about yourself, man?
Oh, another day in paradise. Did I tell you where I was yesterday? Did I actually text you and say, hey, man, I apologize for not getting back to you because I am Yeah, you send me a text message. As always, greatly appreciate that about your availability so we can get you on this program, number one. Number two is I was on a golf course by the name of Bayonne.
Yo, really?
Are you a golfer?
Not a big time golfer. I enjoy it, but I'm not big enough where like I would ask somebody to waste a special invitation on me. You know what I mean? I'm going to be shanking everything right anyway, so you might as well save it on somebody who's going to keep a few more balls in play.
That was me anyways. We can fit right in. Come on, I'm not here to lie about that, but ultimately I got the invite. The great Moose from Swinging and Dinging. He's coming up at 6 o'clock. You'll hear more about our excursion and then some from yesterday, but it was that golf course is one of the best in the world. Like just the views of all things Manhattan, on the water, and the huts, and the way it's a newer course. It was built in 2007. The way they constructed it's just in its own world. Like it was really unique, and you definitely felt special playing it. It was really cool. Just a gym, premium greens, perfect. Like just fairways. Like so nice, and what a great day it was. But Moose from Swinging and Dingle will talk more about that coming up here at 6 o'clock. But we did lose 2 holes due to rain, which was unfortunate. Oh well,
that's all right. Hey. Gorgeous views, man. You can't complain about that. I saw you share something on socials yesterday, but I assumed you were just reposting something from Swinging and Ding It. So to know that you were there, man, that's pretty special. Good for you.
Yeah, and they cut up a video today. They put it in there, and it's funny. I'm featured in like 2 of them, and I don't know when Moose is taking these pictures or not, these videos. But unfortunately, I was all the way up on the damn side of these hills, and the shots are just pretty damn funny. But man, whatever. It was a great day on the course, and nothing beats that. For anybody that does play golf, you know exactly what I say about that. Now, let's get down to some conversations that need to be had about this Phillies squad, who have now lost 2 straight, looked ugly, have scored 1 run in 18 innings. I want to put the bullseye on Nick Castellanos for this discussion here, and I think we have talked about Casty before, and we've had some fun conversations about him and what he brings to this team. And look, I don't think that there's going to be any massive change. I think Casty is who he is, and we're going to have to live with it. But man, this production, according to Luke Arcani, last 30 games, what is it? I read the tweet earlier. Let me pull it up here. It's been brutal for Casty. And I don't know if we should start to be looking at him in the same manner as we once did. Yeah, over his last 30 games, 3 walks, 31 strikeouts, 195 batting average, 215 on base. He is part of the nucleus that is going to determine whether this team is going to have success come playoff time or not. Or am I off on that? Are we just able to look past Nick Castellanos and his struggles? What is your 30,000 foot view of Casty right now with this Phillies team?
So the last time you and I spoke about Nick Castellanos was really back in probably end of June, early July, before the All-Star break even. And we talked about how he was having a really solid season. In June, he had turned it on a bunch. A time where we might normally expect Kyle Schwarber to be the one to take over. Well, Schwarber really took over in the early going, and Casty's slug hadn't been there early on in the season, but in June, it really turned up. I think over 40% of his extra base hits came in like a 3-week period in the month of June. So it looked like, okay, we're starting to get back to what Nick gave us all of last season. Instead, it's almost like the exact opposite of what we saw in his first year in a Phillies uniform, where it was that really, really slow start. And despite how good he got in the second half, those numbers never really looked like the impact that he was making in the second half. Well, he's had such a dreadful few months now that the numbers are starting to look like that first year. If you look at the totality, he's on pace to have the second worst season that he's had in a Phillies uniform. It has not been good. And when you're rotating a lot of outfield pieces and trying to figure things out, the question starts to become, should he be part of that rotation? Does he need a few days off to get himself right? Even if you're going to trust him every day come postseason, do you need to get him off his feet a little bit, either a DH day here and there? Do you need to have him rest a few more times than you might have in the past? He's getting older. I mean, everybody on this team is. He's getting older. He's not used to playing the outfield that much. He tries really hard out there and puts a ton of work in, but he has not been as effective in the outfield this season as the prior two. So you're seeing some of the wear and tear of him playing out there every single day, both on himself and on the defense as a whole. I think when you have as many options, especially when guys have been deployed to the proper matchups and been successful these last couple of weeks, it wouldn't hurt to have him be a little bit more involved in that mix and match. Maybe he plays a little bit more, but against a tough righty, maybe you go Kepler and Marsh both in the corners with Bader in center. Give yourself a better defensive positioning, and then obviously give Nick a little bit of rest before we get ready for this stretch run.
Yeah, look, the numbers are the numbers, right? Like you could put anybody out there and you're going to get better production at this point in time. Then they're going to be a better right fielder as well. No ifs, ands, buts about it. Casty, I said he's not bad at playing right field. He's not. He doesn't make errors and stuff like that, but I don't really look at him as a good right fielder. I know the numbers, if you want to throw that out there, blah, blah, blah. I get that. But he's not here to play right field, because he's got a great glove. He's here specifically to hit some bombs, some power numbers, to do exactly the opposite of what he's been doing. I mean, his box score these past few games have been atrocious. I'm talking about 0 for 5, 0 for 4, 0 for 4, 0 for 4, base hit, 1 for 4. Like you're going back almost 2 weeks to when he's had a really good game at the dish against the Detroit Tigers. Other than that, it's been brutal. As I said, 30 games now. I just you have to do something, right? We said that this team needs to be aggressive at the trade deadline. They got to go out there and make moves. Okay, well, they somewhat did, and I think we're all happy with what took place, but you can't sit on your hands here either, right?
I agree. I mean, it's a lot of the numbers that I've seen have looked at the All-Star break. His slash line is like 195, 224 on base with a 317 slugging percentage. But if you go back even a week and a half before that, if you go back to the beginning of July, he has a 192, 216, 315 slug. That's a 532 OPS. That's not getting it done for an everyday player. That is literally the reason why some of these other guys have found themselves into platoons, because they're putting up numbers like that. And I know that Nick is paid like a superstar, and he has the history of being a superstar and being an everyday player, but that doesn't last forever for some guys. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't have to last forever for him for the rest of the season, but maybe he needs a little bit of a break, and he'll tell you that he doesn't. And Rob Thompson will tell you that he doesn't. But you know who else doesn't feel like they need a break? Max Kepler. And when they started to deploy him in advantageous situations, he's shown up the last couple of weeks. You know who will tell you that he doesn't need a break? Brandon Marsh. But he's having one of the best seasons of his career, and he mostly plays against right-handers. He's being deployed in the correct situations. Bryson Stott will tell you that he's an everyday player. But Edmundo Sosa will tell you the same, and neither guy has been able to prove it. When they work together, they both have success. Sometimes you need to do these things that make your team a little uncomfortable for them to then become comfortable, if that makes sense.
Oh, well said. I couldn't agree more with you. And Marsh, to your point, it's crazy because remember how bad he was to start the season and what he's been able to do to turn it around. And especially in these last 2 weeks, man, power numbers hitting bombs, 4 for 4 in that one game. I've been really impressed with Brandon Marsh. So we'll see. He's back in the lineup today. Again, these managers aren't going to change. We know how they operate. But if we're talking about winning a World Series, I don't believe that Castellanos is all of a sudden going to change at the plate as far as his offensive numbers are concerned. And all of a sudden he's going to find his stroke and rhythm. I hope he does. I just don't believe that's going to be the case. I mean, he could still be a great clubhouse guy, just riding the bench, But
Sean, you know me too. I'm not a big let's make a drastic move for the sake of making a drastic move type of guy.
You're very
I
level
just
headed.
think that
I press you to make those.
Yes,
statements.
you do. But sometimes you need to be real with yourself. And if I'm going through this much of a lull, he's always been a guy who's just put me out there. I'm working through it. Just put me out there. I'm working through it. Yeah. But that's easy to do when you struggle to start the year and it's June and we have 3 months left. But if in 2 weeks you're still struggling, I'm not saying that means you're in a bench role for the rest of the season, but maybe we give you a couple days off a week, 1 or 2 at the most. You're mostly an everyday player. You still play against righties. You still play against lefties. You're the veteran. We understand what you mean out there. So we keep putting you out there, but we give you a little bit of a break so you can take those days to really focus back up, really get yourself right, and be ready for the postseason. We've talked about all these changes that that could potentially be made to give these starting pitchers some extra rest, or what we want to do to set up the bullpen to be properly rested before the season. But the number one thing that has that has been a problem for this team in the postseason these last few years is consistency in the lineup. And if you have a guy who's extremely inconsistent at the moment, you need to let him figure it out. And if that isn't coming on the field, it has to come off the field. And sometimes, again, it doesn't mean he's now the fourth outfielder in the rotation. It just means maybe Max gets a couple extra days and Nick takes a couple of days where he's just doing cage work while everybody else is working hard in the field.
And that's going to get his attention. You're right. He's going to tell you he wants to play every day. Remember, he got benched because he said as much, and him and Thompson had a little bit of a blow up, but that's professionals. Like, we know that that's going to be their answer. That's going to be their response no matter what. Response, though, let's talk a little bit about tonight's game and whether or not the Phillies will respond down in D.C. Minus 194 for Jesus Luzardo getting the start here, 8.5, low number there. Again, both these offenses struggling, so I understand why that number is what it is. Brad Lord on the mound for the Nationals, plus 158. I don't know. I look at Harper, obviously going back to DC. It seems like he's always playing there. He's always putting up some decent numbers, always coming through. They boo him, and he makes him pay for booing him. The 25 fans that will be
and they
there,
keep doing it.
They keep doing it. Yeah, it's fun. So anything for you on tonight's game as far as prediction time here? You like Luzardo going up against the Nationals? Do you like the Phillies to get the bats going, return to form that we've seen a couple, weeks now going into that series against Cincinnati? Or do you think, what took place in Cincinnati for 2 games might carry over to DC here?
It definitely could. I mean, they're a team that plays much better at home than they do on the road, just like everybody, let's be frank. But I think that it's a place where Harper plays well. It's a place where Schwarber plays well. He's played there as a home team player in the past. I think that the biggest thing for me this weekend, and I know we'll focus on tonight, but it kind of ties into tonight, is some guys who need to either show that they are getting right or staying right are pitching this weekend against an inferior offense in the Washington Nationals. Luzardo is one of those guys. And he had a really nice bounce back start his last time out. The key for me is, can he show that he's continuing it? If we continue to have up and down every other start, he's going 3 innings one time, then 7 the next. If he's walking 4 guys one time and then walking nobody and striking out 10, that doesn't ooze confidence for me. But I want him to make it tough. Everybody's basically, because of his struggles and because how well Ranger pitched up until recently, assumed that Luzardo was going to be the guy to move to the bullpen come the postseason. I would like to see him make that a very tough decision for the Phillies. I think that if you have the Luzardo pitching even close to what he did at the beginning of the season, and Suarez continues to struggle, those roles will be reversed. And I think that he needs to go out and claim that, whether it's a personal mission, it's not a competition against Suarez, but it's like, hey, look, I'm just as good as anybody else you're going to put out there. You can trust me. And I think he needs to put a couple of them together for everybody to feel that strongly. So for me, the main thing I'm going to be watching, and I think it will happen, is Luzardo staying consistent and giving another 6 or 7 strong for the Phillies tonight.
Yeah. What's the latest with Aaron Nola? What's the latest going on there with Nola and potentially returning here to the Phils?
There is a chance that he comes back this weekend on Sunday in Washington. He's meeting the team in Washington. They have not officially announced when he'll be activated. Rob Thompson mentioned that Nola could potentially, if Suarez needs an extra day, he could potentially be the guy that they turn to on Sunday, depending on how he feels, to give Suarez an extra day and push Suarez to start to Monday. So I think we see Aaron Nola within the next week, which adds so much depth, especially if he pitches anything close to what he did in his last rehab start. I know it's AAA hitters, but 11 Ks striking out the side 3 times, that's pretty impressive stuff, regardless of what level it is. So to see him get back in that mix, and if he's pitching anything like the Nola of prior to this season, obviously if he's pitching like he did at the beginning of the year, that's a different question. But if he pitches anything close to what he has in prior years, he's reinserting himself right back in that rotation. And then you really have flexibility with the pen, mixing and matching some guys, getting some guys some extra days off as needed. They only have a few off days coming up in the next 2 weeks, so there could be a chance where you see kind of a 6-man. I don't know what they do with Wheeler, but Wheeler obviously needs some additional rest based on his last few starts, so maybe he's willing to accept it once. We know how he feels about that extra rest day, but Nola could be back Sunday. I'm probably predicting Monday. I think they want to see how he feels. Ranger's not going to be a guy who's, unless he's feeling something, which is a different conversation. He wants to take that ball every fifth day too. So, we could see him as early as Sunday, but more likely Monday.
Big piece to the puzzle, man. If Aaron Nola is Aaron Nola of last year, I think we're going to breathe a little bit easier around these parts.
Yeah, if he's your third starter, all of a sudden you're feeling pretty good about that. You're going from Suarez, who looked incredible, but question mark as of late. Luzardo up and down. Probably don't want Taijuan Walker in that spot, despite how well he's pitched. If all of a sudden you have those three guys you can turn to in the pen late in September, early October, you're feeling pretty good about yourself.
Kyle Fisher, bang up job, killing it as always. Great to have you again tonight. Brad Lord, a rookie pitcher, 25 years young, did pitch against the Phillies back on March 30th in relief. I don't believe he had success in that spot. This guy has 10 starts on the season. Last 4 times out, pitched pretty well. I do believe that this will be a bullpen type game for the Nationals. That will be their approach. Again, they don't have anything to play for. I highly doubt they're going to let this kid go more than 6 innings, but we'll see. Again, if he's having success and the Phillies bats are dead, then he might be in there for a little extended run. But bottom line is, last time out on August the 9th against the San Francisco Giants, went 6 innings pitched, 5 strikeouts, 1 earned. Previous to that against Milwaukee, 4 2/3, gave up 6 hits, 3 earned in that one. Like I said, he's been back and forth from a reliever role to a starter throughout the course of the season, has made 39 appearances total, only 10 starts. So we'll see what happens. Again, I like Harper. That's where I would start if I was looking at some players tonight. But I'm not really holding my breath on this team, finding their stride. It could carry over, as you said. We're in a little bit of a stretch here. It's expected. I hate to say it, cliche, but when you play 162, you're going to go through lulls like this. And then you're also going to roll through hot streaks like the Milwaukee Brewers we're going to talk about in just a minute. But again, DraftKings Sportsbook have the Phillies as a pretty big favorite here at -199, 6:45 first pitch. All right, Kyle, I want to run the gauntlet with you here. We like to call it as the sports carousel. We're going to talk some football. We'll hit on that in a little bit. But big picture stuff as far as Major League Baseball, where do you stand? We got some good storylines right now here with about 45 games left to play, 40-ish, whatever it is. So,
40, high 30s, low 40s, depending on your
schedule.
Are
we in 30s? Oh, wow.
I think there's some team that have like 39 left. But.
Wow. Damn, season's flying by. So, where we're at right now with the National League West, the Dodgers are out of first place, first time since April 27th. The Dodgers were supposed to run away with it this year. Kyle, of course, won it all last year. Understood. I know it's tough to repeat, so I will bet against them. I don't know who. It's pretty cloudy at this point in time, but let's focus on the West at this point in time. Do you like the Padres at this point right here in this season, as they are currently in first place? Couple games left against the Dodgers. Have you seen enough of the Padres to that they've made you a believer? Have you seen enough of the Dodgers that, some of their deficiencies are going to plague them coming down the stretch here? Where do you stand as far as the NL West conversation is concerned? Are you buying the Padres right now? We're at plus money, plus 125 to win the division.
So I'd say that while I don't think the Dodgers, the items that are plaguing them at the moment are going to be their downfall, I think that they have a lot of too much talent on that team to stay in whatever funk they seem to be in. Mookie Betts is having one of the worst seasons of his career, and it's still an impressive season. For him to assume that he won't be able to come up big when it matters most is a crazy assumption to have. That being said, the Padres had one of the best bullpens in Major League Baseball and added to it at the deadline in an alarming way. They added Mason Miller. They added one of the best arms on the market, a guy who most people assumed wasn't even on the market at the deadline. They swung big and got him in the back of that bullpen to add next to Robert Suarez and a few other guys who there was talks that the Padres may trade arms because of the arms that were in how high demand the arms were, rather. I think I've seen enough from the Padres to think that they are legit, and this will come down to the wire. I don't think that I've seen enough from the Dodgers to assume that the Padres have passed them for good. I think it's going to be a lot like the Mets and Phillies felt a few weeks ago, where they were going back and forth. I think that if you're not putting your life savings on it, I think you're safe to bet some money on the Padres because they're a legit contender year in and year out. And this year they've added the necessary pieces to make them feel dangerous come September and into October.
I'd like to see it. They do have some good names out there. Of course, Tatis Jr. is a guy that you should tune in to watch. And they have the talent. They've been aggressive. And they have to compete with the Dodgers. So that's the reason why they need to be aggressive. And we've talked about this in previous times that they've matched up. It's a pretty good rivalry between those two teams. And it's must see TV. So I know that they're going to have some games against each other down the stretch. Definitely a series or two that we will be paying a lot of attention to and could potentially be the division on the line if it stays this close. We'll see how it shakes out. Long way to go, but the Dodgers out of first place for the first time since April. With that, let's keep it moving. Another big picture question for you here. How real are the Milwaukee Brewers, Kyle Fisher? That's where I'm at.
They're as real gets. They play a different brand of baseball than everybody else.
What do you mean?
They play your father's style of baseball. When your dad says, "Oh, where's the bunts? Where's the sack flies? Where's the hit and runs?" That's what these guys do, and it's working. Outside of Christian Yelich and Rhys Hoskins, can you name somebody on their team?
No, you got Contreras, right? Then he was
the catcher. Yeah.
Yeah. I just played this game last week and I can't even remember. How about that?
And then Churio, right? That's about it. If you're tuned in, it makes sense that you still, even guys who are tuned in don't know half that team. Yeah. But like you have guys like Bryce Terang, who is like one of the unsung heroes. If you have him in fantasy, he's a gold mine for speed stats. He's going to get you doubles and he's going to get you triples and he's going to get you steals all the time. They play a very good brand of baseball. They play strong defense. They have all season long, and they really have embraced this. I don't need to be the one to deliver because I trust that the next guy will. It's a lot of get on base any way possible, advance runners any way possible, get runs across the board. Even if we manufacture one, that's one more than we had the last inning. And if they continue to do that to the effectiveness that they've had recently, there's no reason to think that they can't carry that through to the World Series. They are a real team, and they've gotten better pitching. You know, Mizorowski now has more MLB innings under his belt. They have a few other young pitchers. Brandon Woodruff has come back and been very effective. So all of a sudden, they have formed themselves. They didn't make a major move at the deadline, but they got reinforcements with the return of Woodruff, with some of these young guys, and with everybody playing as a unit. It's the thing that you always want your team to do. They've been doing it all season long. I remember there was a game, maybe I said this last week, so cut me off if I did, but there was a free game of the week. It was Mizorowski versus Skeens earlier this season. And I remember being excited, like, dude, this is going to be a shutout. The Brewers versus the Pirates and two electric arms on the mound. And they ran Skeens out of that game because it was hitting runs. It was moving runners. It was taking huge leads, steals, playing aggressive baseball, and then solid defense on the other end to keep the Pirates at bay. And they ran Skeens out of that game early. And right then, I knew, like, man, this team is legit. And they've done nothing but get better since then. So, yes, the Brewers are real.
And they just did it 2 nights ago, too. Skeens went up against them, and they ran him out pretty early in that game.
I think his ERA is like a 1.8 something versus the rest of the league and a 5 point something versus the Brewers. Like, the Brewers just own Paul Skeens because they just put the ball in play. They take what you give them instead of looking for a big shot. If the ball's pitched on the outside and he's effective at tunneling and getting everything on the outside, they're just going to hit it that way. Everybody in that lineup is going to hit it that way. It's like a lineup full of slap hitters instead of a lineup full of power hitters. It's crazy.
Yeah, that manager, Pat Murphy, is pretty darn good, too. He's got their attention. Yeah, he's got their attention. Yeah, they're not a fluke. They made the playoffs last year, and if they didn't choke against the Mets, they're taking on the Phillies in that next round.
Yep.
And who knows?
Were scared. I was scared of them. I'm scared of them last year, and they're playing a better brand of ball this year.
Yep, that's fair to say. So I guess it's fair to say that you are buying the Milwaukee Brewers right 100%. Now as a World Series contender and as a team that could come out of the National League, which is a very nice price right now to come out of the National League and represent in the Fall Classic, plus 380 for the Brewers.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought with this recent their second 10-plus game winning streak of the season. I thought maybe
Mhm.
that number would come down, but hey, take it before it does, because that number is just going to keep getting lower and lower.
And oh, by the way, hooking people up with burgers out there, firing up the grill. Did you see that restaurant that is hooking up Milwaukee Brewers?
I did, yeah.
fans? How are they doing it? For the third time in its history, George Webb Restaurants, have no idea what George Webb is, but you're giving me a free burger, I'm in. Will make good on its promise of giving away free hamburgers, a long-standing promotion to celebrate the Brewers winning 12 games. The free burger giveaway held Wednesday from 2 to 6 p.m. at all the 23 restaurants throughout Wisconsin. Vouchers for a burger at a later date will be available at all locations starting Friday. Hungry fans, welcome, blah, 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 blah. Starting way back in the 1940s, Milwaukee was home to minor league brewers of the old American Association. George Webb promised free burgers if the local baseball team won 17 consecutive games. The promotion dropped to 13 games by the time the Braves made Milwaukee a big league club in 53, blah, 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 blah. George Webb then changed the promotion to 12 games when the Brewers moved from Seattle in 70-87. Brewers opened the season 13 games. They gave away 170,000 burgers. Man, that's a lot of meat. A lot of meat. The Brewers accomplished the feat as I spit everywhere. Sorry. The second time in 2018, closing the regular season with 8 victories, followed by 4 playoff wins. They hooked up. I like this George Webb place. The streak led to 90,000 free burgers. How about that? Pretty cool. And you know what? I did see an interview earlier with the Brewers player, and he said they were talking about it in the clubhouse.
That's
yesterday.
awesome. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, man. They're just like us. You know it. All right. Staying with the Major League Baseball outlook. Let's talk about the bad. And that's the New York Mets, 2-12 in their last 14. Kyle, they're a game up, I want to say, the third wild card spot. It's way too early to start focusing on that. However, the yes and no market on DraftKings Sportsbook. On the no, the Mets to miss the playoffs, plus 225. Or will they make the playoffs? Excuse me. On the no, plus 225. I think that's a worthwhile take. Just like the Brewers at plus 380. I think the Mets missing the playoffs. I like that more. Where do you stand on the Mets right now?
I mean, the thing that we thought would plague them eventually is plaguing them right now.
Yep. Finally.
Since June 13th, they have the 28th ranked ERA with a 4.99 from their starters, and they're 29th in innings pitched. They have one starter who's completed six innings since June 7th. That's David Peterson. Yes, okay, Sean Manaea and Kodai Senga haven't been the same since they've come off the injured list, but Clay Holmes hasn't recorded more than 16 outs in an inning in more than 2 months. Frankie Montas, who we thought might help them, especially that electric first start, and he had a really good start, rough starts in the minors, and then, of course, came out electric in that first start. He has a 6.38 ERA and is seemingly doomed for a bullpen role now.
Woo!
They're exactly what we thought their biggest concern was going to be. We thought there was no way that those numbers could last, right? Remember when they were one of the best rotations early in the season, and we talked about like a bunch of guys they just threw together. Maybe there's something brewing up there. Maybe they got the right pitching coach or the right voices, and it was just a matter of time. It was just a matter of time. And the offense is fine, but if they struggle at all with that pitching staff, you're just going to keep falling down. They need reinforcements badly. I don't know if that's just being patient while Manaea and Senga get themselves strong and ramped up more. I don't know if that's Paul Blackburn coming back. I don't know if that's Tyler McGill coming back. But do any of those names excite you?
No.
And pitching's the most important thing when it comes to the postseason. So they have the bats to get it done. If one of those pitchers can get hot, they have the bats to get it done. We know what Alonso can do. We know what Lindor and Soto and Nimmo, even what those guys can do in that lineup. So they have the top end bats to get it done without the starting pitching, but they need to survive to that point. You know, we talked big about how the Phillies had a black hole at the 5th starting spot last season. If you have a black hole at 3, 4, and 5, you're not going to survive to October. It's been a really rough go for them lately, and they need these guys to either get strong or they need McGill and Blackburn to come off red hot off the IL, because it is dire straits up in Citi Field right now.
Ooh, I like that. That's a good pull by you. You are a writer at the end of the day, so you do nice work. As far as the wild card standings, again, way too early, but yet, as I said, the market is the market, and it intrigues me. Reds currently behind the Mets. St. Louis Cardinals, 4 games. Diamondbacks, 5.5. Giants, 5.5. Miami Marlins still hanging in there. 58-62 on the season. The Marlins 6 games back. Wow. If you would have told me the Marlins are going to have a better season than the Braves, I would have been like, dude, give me some of that. What are you on, man? But yeah, they're much better than the Braves. The Reds are the team. The better manager, some good pop in the lineup, good pitching. I think the Reds could potentially spell disaster for the Mets to miss the playoffs if they were to lose to a team. Now, I'm not trying to put dirt on the Cardinals, the Diamondbacks, the Giants, potentially. Again, it comes down to the schedule. What do they have left? And we're not going to go through that math right now, that exercise here. But, man, that would be a hell of a storyline if the Mets choked in what was – look, I know we got a long way to go. I've said it 100 times. But remember, these two teams between the Mets and Phillies have exchanged first place like 12 times this season. And now all of a sudden in the last 2 weeks, the Mets have just gone south. 2-12 in their last 14. And like you said, man, what's really hurting them is finally catching up to them. It's something that we talked about preseason all the way in the beginning of the year. The fact that the starting pitching, I could not believe was as good as it was. And here it is. It's definitely hurting them. So I definitely like that number at plus 225 to miss the playoffs. And that's a bet that everybody in Philadelphia could get behind too as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that number will go down just because the influx of bets on that now that we put it out there. So,
all right, we got Kyle Fisher with us here. Yeah, Major League Baseball, big storylines happening right now. Only a few games as far as tonight is concerned in the world of professional baseball. But Skubal's on the mound, and he had a bad start, so that's one thing that I would look at. As far as his strikeouts, I do think that the Twins are ripe for the picking as well. But the big one for us here, of course, is the Phillies and the Nationals. Once again, minus 199, Luzardo getting the start. Actually, the Mets are in action this evening. I apologize. Senga on the mound, minus 181. Wow. Elder and the Braves at plus 148. You're out of your mind if you're laying minus 181 with the Mets. Now watch, they'll win 6-0, whatever it is.
Yeah, right.
But that's a bad team right now. And all you have to do is look what took place last night. They were up 6-0 and they lost 11-6. Like
Was it a 9-run inning from the Braves?
That's all you need to know. All right. I'm trying to think anything else as far as Major League Baseball. I don't really want to waste too much time, but like the National League MVP, it's fun to have that conversation, but the odds are just so much in Shohei's favor. I think they might need to change the award to Shohei. It's just tough to vote against that guy if he's going to go out there pitching. And I know he hasn't been successful, but that just adding that layer into the conversation, Schwarber is just, it's got no shot.
Yeah, they're both DHs at the end of the day, but when you add in the fact that this guy's going to put the bat down after the first inning and then go warm up in the tunnel and go out there and give you 102 mile an hour with 16-inch vertical movement on a sinker inside on a guy, like it's, what are you supposed to do? Now, I've said that if his ERA pitching this year was like 6.5, throw it out the window, right? I don't care if you can do both. Great, you're bringing more value to your team by doing 2 jobs in one, but if you suck at one, then it doesn't matter. Yeah. But he's really good at both. So it's like, it's hard to, even if he was average at one and incredible at the other one, it'd be really tough to make that decision. So he's only getting stronger. He's basically doing, I think his first couple of outings, he was 1 inning. He was basically doing his rehab on the mound as a pitcher, and he's only getting stronger. So we'll see what happens. If he can stay healthy and do both the rest of the season, there's no reason to think that he won't win it outright, probably unanimously again, no matter how good Schwarber is.
Yeah, I liked their approach. I thought that was very interesting the way they went about it. The coolest thing about Shohei, though, is, believe me, not the stuff that's taking place off the field, but like you said, it's not cool. It's like, dude, what are we doing right now, Shohei? You're getting some terrible advice. You're making buku amounts of money everywhere, and like his name is being drugged through the mud every which way. It's like, dude, like, come on, man. Who are you surrounding yourself with? Anyways, putting that to the side. One of the cooler things that I like is to see him, like you just said, when he is pitching, he's not a prima donna by no means. Like, that dude is business. And when he's pitching and hitting, he literally will walk right to the dugout, boom, gets his gloves right to the on deck circle. Like, it's just funny. You would think it'd be a little bit more flashy, but it's not. That dude is just straight business. And you got to respect him. He's a hell of a talent. One of the best players we've ever seen play the game. No doubt about it. But
yeah, that really cool camera angle of seeing him like walk off the mound in a home game. He strikes out the last batter, and he never even goes in the dugout. He gets down, starts taking putting all his pads on, and he's watching the guy warm up and talking to the coach at the same time. Like, it's like you said, it's all business, and that's what you have to do to be great. He's not about flash. He's about being the best player he can be, and it's darn effective because the guy's incredible.
No, it's got a very Little League World Series vibe, right?
Yeah.
As we're watching that's on the TV. It's pretty cool to see that. It's like these kids go out there, but it's Shohei Ohtani at a professional level. All right, enough of that. Let's talk some football, all right? Because football season is here. Shifting gears. Let's get on over to the Birds, Kyle.
Let's do it.
Your big takeaway, anything from the preseason game one? Of course, the quarterback went out there and looked pretty good. Tanner McKee. Secondary, not so much. I want to give a lot of respect to Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, but man, Ringo, like, what are you doing? He was brutal. And I don't think he's that bad. I would imagine he's going to have a better showing. But man, if they were expecting him to play a significant role in this defense this year, after that performance, I'd have to look like, all right, maybe we need to make some moves here. And I know they did. They traded for a cornerback, of course, with the Raiders 2 weeks ago, whatever it is. But where are you at right now? Your big takeaways preseason game one, if any.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing that stuck out was Ringo. A lot of people spoke about how he just did not have a good performance. And yes, he was playing against some of the starters early on. But we talked about before how they're mixing and matching and changing a lot of things in that secondary out of necessity. They have a lot of changes, but you're trying guys at different positions. You're bringing in some new players. They just traded for a cornerback. That is going to be we're going to have to feel it out and see what fits best scenario. And that kind of showed itself. I did like what we saw from Tanner McKee. I did like what we saw from Johnny Wilson and Will Shipley as well.
Oh, yeah.
Both of those guys looked strong. Those are depth pieces that you need to survive an NFL season. Guys get bumps and bruises. If you can give Devontae and AJ a little bit of a break here and there because you have faith in Johnny Wilson, that's exciting to me. And then we talked about how important Shipley's going to be to help spell Saquon a little bit, because it's not about the regular season for him. It's about, can he be strong and healthy going into the postseason, especially after the year he had last year. So seeing those two really go off in the game made me feel good. The biggest takeaway, just for me, because I think there was so much change on the defensive end, was that struggle from Ringo. What's that secondary going to look like? I did like what we saw from the linebackers, and they're only going to get stronger there. So biggest takeaway would be Ringo. After that, I really like what I saw from Johnny Wilson to give some depth to that position, especially since AJ's not quite ready yet.
Yeah, look, 6'6" frame. Kid's a beast. I loved at the timeline. It's so good having football season back. The timeline was so active. I got people like Rick McClay telling me that McKee and Johnny Wilson can win a Super Bowl. Like, this is what I'm talking about right now. No, but again, it's preseason. But the thing I would say about McKee is, like, this isn't a fluke, right? Like, we've seen him play well in regular season, albeit against the Cowboys and Giants last year, but still. Like, those were big games, big spots for him. So I'm not going to slight those performances. Preseason last year, he looked good. So he goes out there. And I mean, the big takeaway for me was the fact of how he was able to process the defense. And it was probably very vanilla, but he went through his reads, his progressions, and he was finding receivers and putting the ball in the money. So, like, this dude is for real. And I think Howie could potentially dangle him out there for the right price. I wouldn't be mad, but also at the same time, it's a guy that I would definitely like to have backing up Jalen for the rest of the season. Where are you at with that outlook? Am I out of my mind, or maybe a little overvaluing him potentially for Howie Roseman, dangling him out there for other teams to bite?
No, I think that if you get an offer that you can't refuse, you obviously have to either take it or at least show a lot of interest in it. But I don't know if you actively shop him, right? You still want a strong backup in case Jalen needs a couple games off. And whether it be because they are winning or because he plays a rough style of play, he hasn't played every game the last couple seasons. So having someone that you can rely on as the backup is a valuable thing to have. And then on top of that, he can also provide more value potentially in a trade next offseason by doing exactly that, right? If he doesn't need to come in, whether it's because we're up big and they pull some of the starters out and he goes in the fourth quarter and shows out, or he fills in for a couple games if Jalen's banged up, or they at the end of the season, if they know that they have things wrapped up and they want to rest their starters. If he shows more this season against NFL level talent, that only adds to what you could potentially get for him. Unless you're trading him for a position player of need, which is very rare in the NFL. It's typically you're seeing a lot of picks being moved, or it's trading a guy for a salary dump, something like that, or bad contract for bad contract. You don't see a lot of players traded for another player of need in that moment. So if you have a situation like that, where somebody goes, hey, we have an injury, we're going to give you a high second rounder or a first rounder right now, then obviously you jump at it. But I think the value to developing him is that he's there in case you need him, and you can talk about potential trades in the offseason. I think he knows the offense well enough. I know that everybody's learning it. Jalen's learning it. It's a new wrinkles to the offense, but to have him in-house already, I think that is where his value is going to be maximized.
All right. So preseason game 2, a little bit of a dud with the news with Shedeur.
Yeah,
I was going to a preseason game.
What do they have? 4 injured quarterbacks now? Is it going to be Joe Flacco for 4 quarters? I don't.
Actually, Gabriel's going to play.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Okay.
Gabriel's in. He's going to start. Shedeur will not play at all. It still interests me a little bit from the Gabriel perspective, but I was going to go check out Shedeur, no doubt, man. Like, I'm hoping the kid's good. I'm hoping he gets some play. I'm hoping he's the guy. It would be great.
And especially like, he's a guy who would wear that chip. Like, yeah, I fell all that way, and look at what I'm doing now. Like he would ride that thing to promotion. He would ride that thing to sponsorship deals, and he would ride it to success. That's the big thing. It's funny that we're talking about Shedeur. I watched the special that ESPN did on his dad, where he tried to play 2 sports in one day, and all of his cockiness. I remember a lot of people told me, he's just this cocky guy. He worked his tail off. He earned being that cocky. And Shedeur is doing the same thing. I don't think that from everything that I've heard about the Browns, and I don't have anybody tuned in there, but everything I've read about the Browns is his work ethic is just as good as anybody else's, and he just happens to have a little bit of a swagger to him because he's a Sanders. That's it. It's not I have swagger that's unearned. He goes out there and he proves it time and time again. He got so much better in college as he progressed. I would be excited for the kid as a neutral party to see him get some run this year and maybe take that job.
Right there with you. And we're talking about a Browns team that has the worst win total coming into the season. Expectations are at an absolute low. I'm not saying Shedeur needs to start week 1. That's not what I was saying at all. And I think people are out of their minds suggesting so. You got Flacco. Stick to that plan. Flacco is going to get in there. It's not the end of the season if Flacco starts the season off 0-3, and you got to go to Shedeur. However, starting Shedeur and then having him get beat up and the team going 0-3, that's not your best action. I don't think that's the best course. Now, again, he's hurt, so it kind of makes life a little easier on that decision. But if he went out there week 2 against the Eagles, had success, I don't know how they were not going to start him in week 1. I really don't. Again, there's no expectations at all. And to sit there and look your fan base in the eye, go, yeah, we're going to stick with Joe Flacco when Shedeur goes out there and throws 2 touchdown passes, whatever it is. I just think, and then the attitude and the fact that like he rejuvenate, or just like the team vibes with him and really, he raises him up. Like I could see the image in my mind of like they win 2 games and then next, they're all walking in and they're bumping his music, and like, you never know. Those are the vibes that like could raise some things up for a team, again, with 0 expectations. Football season is here, Kyle Fisher. Are you ready to go? Where you got? You got Green Bay week 1, correct?
Yes, sir. Detroit at Green Bay should be a fun one.
Ooh. Who you got winning that division?
I mean, I've had Detroit the whole time. I think that they're the second best team in the NFC. So for me, it's Detroit easily. If they can, even if they stay half as healthy, which would still be a lot of injuries as they were last season, they're easily the second best team. So for me, I got to go them until Minnesota proves differently. And, if JJ McCarthy comes out and he's incredible, maybe that's a different story because they have a great defense and some weapons on that offense. But I'm going with who's proven it to this point, and I'm going Detroit.
Oh, so good to have football back in our lives. Kyle Fisher, once again. Be sure to follow Kyle Fisher 45. You can find him at the Philly Sports Network. What do you got cooking up over there?
Nothing cooking up at the moment. I'm probably going to do a little piece on Nick Castellanos that we just mentioned. I do have some news that dropped today. I'm not going to be a lead writer like I am for the Phillies, but I will be helping out the Sixers team this season. So Sixers schedule just dropped.
Schedule dropped. How about
sir.
that?
I'll be helping out the Sixers squad over there. So I'll be real close buddies with Sean Bernard the rest of the season as a partner covering the teams.
Yeah, we got taking on Boston. That's right. Julian did say that. So they open up the season on the road at Boston.
Yes, sir.
I'll pass on the Sixers news right now. Football season. You're the best.
Probably a Casty piece coming up. So look out.
Yeah, man. He's got to deliver. We'll see what happens tonight. Hopefully the Phillies get back on the winning ways, and we'll be following you on all things socials, of course, reading you over at the Philly Sports Network. Bang up job as always here, Kyle. Good luck on all those plays. If you place any of those wagers, if not, we'll catch up down the road. But always great to get you on today, sir.
Thank you, sir. Talk to you next week.
My man, there he is, Kyle Fisher, once again on the Gambler stream. All right, keeping it moving. We have some pretty cool things that are taking place in Camden this weekend. Now, WWE is coming on Monday, and when wrestling comes to town, it's like a circus. They all travel in, and these side shows happen all over the city and surrounding areas. Well, there's one that's happening in Camden, which is pretty cool. The main promoter, Reggie, he is going to join me talking about unfinished business, Super Gorillas Wrestling. You got former AEW wrestlers, stars of SGW, all that and more. It's going down at Harrison Park. Belt time at 5 p.m. on Saturday. Reggie's going to join me on the other side. Then some college football conversation. Myself, Beef, Tansy, and Mark Henry Jr., where we snake draft the national champion. Got that coming your way, followed by Swing It and Ding It, a brand new episode where Moose is going to talk about our fantastic trip yesterday to Bayonne. What a day it was. So don't touch that dial. Keep it locked right here to the Gambler. And as always, if you miss anything, you can find us online at foxphlgambler.com. Tell a friend, let them know we are here. We're doing big things this football season. Don't touch that dial. More after this.
From Tuscaloosa to the Big House, Saturdays start here.
Howard flips it. Smith's got it, and the freshman just launches in as the Buckeyes score.
Your home for all things college football coverage. It's the Gambler.
Our iHeartRadio Music Festival.